All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Fan Talk by yours truly, Cape Wrench. This is episode 3, and as you can see here, I have a partner in crime, my older brother, Ryan Brenchley, here in studio with me, and he's probably what got me into sports. He's the older brother.
Thank you for that acknowledgement. The entire success of Cape Wrench Sports is all credited to me. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
No, I know a lot of people have reached out and they want to be on, and I'm really excited to have my older brother on as the first guest. He has a lot of thoughts on a lot of things. Today we're going to be talking about the World Cup, because the World Cup starts up. The first game is on Sunday. USA plays on Monday against Wales, so we'll get into that. We're also going to be talking about the Denver Broncos woes, because both Broncos fans, avid fans, and it's not going as planned.
Painful
year. It's been painful ever since Peyton Manning left, but we'll talk about that. And then we'll finish off with my NFL picks. I posted my results on my Twitter page at @CapeWrench_, so you can check that out. I think I'm 13-12 over the last 2 weeks, so coming out about even. So
good pick though, picking the Vikings to upset the Bills in Buffalo.
Well, so I will say I had a preface here. I said if Case Keenum plays. No, what did I say? I said if Josh Allen. Did I pick the Vikings to win?
I thought I saw on Twitter that you picked Vikings. Yeah. We can double check that real quick, but.
I thought I said something about if Case Keenum plays, the Vikings win.
Well, I mean, if you meant to switch it, you never did. Good job.
But
sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
But yeah. Anyways, I my thought in that was I was just thinking Josh Allen was day today, so I'm like, if Case Keenum plays, then the Vikings definitely win. But regardless, Vikings got a huge win there, and.
Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe if Case Keenum goes out there, they actually end up winning that game. It seemed like Josh Allen was throwing some really bad red zone.
Yeah, he's kind of been. Well, he threw two interceptions in the Jets game as well?
Yeah, I think he's thrown 4 red zone interceptions, like over his last couple of games, compared to 4 over his last 60 something. So it's been a night and day difference. It looks like, so something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I still would roll with Josh Allen over Case Keenum any day.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah.
But maybe take a hit to his MVP odds.
Oh, for sure. I think. Isn't Patrick Mahomes leading the way right now?
You feel like he'd have to. So.
He always does.
Yeah, there it is. If you check out Kyle Brenchley's Twitter, then he's got the Vikings over the Bills.
Okay.
So good pick.
Good call there. Made some other silly calls there though, but
hey,
13-12.
Sometimes you got to take some swings. I mean, you went with a bunch of favorites, and just I think Eagles losing, that was a surprise. Cowboys should have won. That was a surprise. All of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers decides to play just because he owns the Cowboys, it seems.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Yeah, that guy's interesting. But we can get into more of that later on. Let's start off with. Let me flip my hat around. Let's start off here with the World Cup. Right here, I got a 1994. I wasn't even born yet, but my dad somehow got a hold of this. So 1994 World Cup hat. It's starting. It's a little different this year. Usually it's in the summer, but since it's in the country of Qatar, the temperatures are like triple digits year round, so they're like, let's put it in November and December.
Yeah, it's still going to be 90s with humidity, so it should be hot. They're going to be this will be the time where the FIFA has actually implemented water breaks quite a bit. So,
well, I've noticed just in general, soccer has added more like timeout like water breaks that allow their players to kind of catch their breath a little bit.
Yeah, I think just for the safety of the players is the first and foremost thing. Why they've added the additional substitutions as well and expanded the World Cup roster from 23 players to 26-man roster, which obviously that was a big part in some of the selections in the USA World Cup team.
Yeah, there's been some talk about like who got on the USA roster, and I understand you know the roster a little bit better. What are your thoughts on the 26 guys that were listed last week?
You'll see that the midfield is going to be the strongest of the entire World Cup squad with Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie. Weston McKennie, I think he's probably one of my favorite players. Plays for Juventus, very well experienced player. I'm excited for the 2 outside backs as well, the defensive backs. I'm really excited for. They call him Jedi Robinson, so he'll actually be on the left-hand side, and then Sergio Dest will be on the right-hand side, and I'm really excited to see those two. Really, at the end of the day, I think we got our good starting 11. And I think about the 15, 16 players, that are going to see a lot of time. I think we got that right. Obviously Christian Pulisic, Captain America, he'll start every single game. You'll rarely see him come off the pitch. And then it's just a matter of who kind of takes that middle spot. Giovanni. Reyna could potentially be up there in kind of that middle forward spot. So there's a couple of guys that it'll be interesting to see how Greg Berhalter handles that forward spot. I think that's kind of where it'll be interesting to see how he attacks it. But overall, pretty satisfied with the roster. I think there's been a lot of backlash just due to the amount of MLS players. I think probably they'd like to see a little bit more European players, but so a couple of MLS players got on, and really we have to remember that this isn't the World Cup that the USA is going after. I'm sure they're glad to be there, and anything if they advance from the group stage, I think they'll take that as a success. But they're setting themselves up. It's the 2026 where I think they're going to try to make a deep run at it. So I think some of the questionable roster decisions weren't not so much like, oh, this guy's going to start, but take like an older Jordan Morris perhaps coming off of injuries. Why put him on the squad? He'll be 32, at the next World Cup, so you definitely know he's not going to be on the team. Why put him over a young star, a 19-year-old Ricardo Pepi, who is actually only second behind Christian Pulisic as far as goals in U.S. qualifying. So that was probably my questionable decision. I'm really biased towards Ricardo Pepi, but that one left me scratching my head the most. It's like, why not put younger players on the team now, get them that experience, because we're going to make a go for it in 2026. So,
well, you see that a lot in like high school sports. Coaches tend to put like sophomores and juniors who are really good over seniors, because they're like, if you get experience now, they can play now. By their senior year, they'll be really good. And so I guess that's kind of the approach that maybe you suggest they should have taken.
Yeah, and I think maybe they brought on some of these older MLS players maybe just to be locker room guys. I honestly don't see Jordan Morris coming in more than for like maybe the final 15 minutes to like try to eke out an extra goal, instead of playing that 4-4-3, maybe they bring in an extra forward like Jordan Morris to kind of push the attack up a little bit. But irregardless, I think that we'll have opportunities to score goals. It just depends on, honestly, like the amount of time that we can keep the ball. Honestly, that's what it's going to come down to, is if we can maintain possession of the ball throughout the entire match. That will be the key decider against really good, teams like Wales, who like ball control, England, who is superior at counters and working really quick. You give them the ball and they'll go with it.
So USA, they're in Group B. Group B consists of England, Iran, Wales, and the USA. England, obviously, a very good team. They're kind of fifth in level of competition, and fifth as in like
definitely one of the favorites.
Favorites, that's the word I'm looking for. But this Iran team and these Wales teams, I feel like the USA, they could definitely get out of this group. Like Wales and Iran are very winnable games. Not even surprised against England, but England's a really good team. So what do you expect USA to make it out of this group?
Yeah, I do. And obviously that it's hard to, to not let your heart speak a little bit. I clearly am a United States of American fan. But they are considered a better squad than the Wales. But I think if you go to sports talk shows across the pond, then I think they would actually favor Wales over the USA. So that's why I think this first game is probably the most crucial for the U.S. out of all three of their games, honestly. They cannot lose to Wales. If they lose to Wales, then you can almost concede a spot in the knockout stage. They have to get at least a result, at least a tie, but hopefully, they push for the win. Yeah. If they get the win, I think they'll be through. England, they could lose or draw with them. I don't expect them to beat England. And then Iran, they should be able to get a result as well, a point or a draw. So, but that Wales game by far is the first and most important game, I would say, to set the tone for the rest of the World Cup.
Yeah, USA plays Wales on Monday, November 21st on Fox at noon, I believe, Mountain Time. So that will be a huge game. I think I'm gonna. Well, my class gets out, so I could probably watch that. I assume you're gonna be watching that game.
Yeah, I'll be at a golf tournament, but yeah, Luckily,
watching it on your phone
luckily,
on the ninth hole.
yeah. Luckily, it's been planned, so I'll be able to watch the entire game. So, yeah, very excited for it. I'll be very interested to see who they come out with. Before the show, you mentioned Tim Ream. I think he will be very valuable for us. He currently captains the English Premier Team Fulham, and he goes against these Wales players, these English players daily. And so he's by far the oldest player on the U.S. men's team, but I think him being left back or left center back there will be really big for the U.S., just knowing these players, playing with them on a consistent basis against them.
All right, so like as you mentioned, USA coming in Group B. They got Wales coming up. They got England. They got Iran. We look at the other contenders, and according to VegasInsider.com, they have Brazil as 4-1 odds. They're the top favorite to win the World Cup. Argentina's in second. France is in there in third with Spain, and then England's fifth. As of right now, I know you're a betting man. Who would you bet?
You know, I want to bet. If I were to bet, I feel like you have to go with the favorites, Brazil. They really do have a really good squad, and you feel like they're due. It's been a while since they've won the World Cup, let alone the last time they made the World Cup final, they won it. So it feels like it's been a while that they've really advanced very far. You know, I mean, obviously they always make it to the knockout stage, but I'm talking, you know, they had a disappointing semifinals exit. No, it was a quarterfinals exit, from this last World Cup. And it feels like they're due. So I feel like if you can't go wrong by betting them. France, I love France. I love their team. Kylian Mbappe is one of my favorite players, but it's only happened once in the history of the World Cup where the team that won last contest has repeated. So for that, I feel like you can't go against that odds. And then keep an eye out for England. I think England is a very good, strong squad. I feel like they should have won the Euro 2020, and they came up just short in penalty kicks. So I feel like England's a good one. So I think the best value, if you wanted to go long shot, I think England. You get some really good value there. But Brazil, obviously, they're the favorites for a reason.
Okay. So World Cup's coming up. You can watch games pretty much every day for the next, at least the first stage where all the teams are in.
You just have to set your alarm for
set the alarm. Qatar's obviously on the other side of the world. But we're looking forward to that. USA, again, plays on Monday against Wales on Fox, and we'll see how that World Cup goes. We're excited for that. All right, moving on. We're both Denver Broncos fans. We grew up Denver Broncos fans. We came out of the womb wearing John Elway jersey. Well, at least I did. I was born. Well, we were both born during the John Elway time.
Both born wearing. Yep.
So
blue and orange. Yep.
Blue and orange. I was actually born in '99, one of the years they won the Super Bowl, and so a very special team and place in our heart.
Yeah.
And we've been watching. I started watching. I remember watching the first game. Jay Cutler was quarterback, or maybe it was Jake Plummer. It was the 2007 season. I think it was Jay Cutler at that point. And the Broncos were so until, and then Tim Tebow had that wonderful season. Peyton Manning came in, they won a Super Bowl. But ever since then, the Denver Broncos have not found any success. They have not made the playoffs since that 2015 year. They have not found a quarterback that has started more than 2 years. I don't count Drew Lock. He started halfway through the season and kind of had some injuries. And so now we got Russell Wilson. We're great, right? We're settled. This is the year.
That's were we in for a rude awakening.
Oh man, I think the Denver Broncos are the most disappointing team in football this year.
Yeah, and that's
3-6 right now. That's
very fair to say. Vegas had them as favored to make the playoffs. Basically. They were not expected to win their division. I think that's Kansas City's division until someone takes down Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. But they definitely were predicted to make the playoffs. And I think as you highlighted there, the biggest thing that's been missing since the Peyton Manning is the quarterback. And we felt like as soon as you get the quarterback in there, then everything should be solved. Defense is phenomenal, and I know you want to talk about the defense. And so I think the sportscasters, Vegas, looking at the schedule, it's a very favorable schedule. You kind of wonder why we are where we're at this point in the season. And I think just the expectations that were set, I think they maybe were set a little bit too high. We do have to remember, first-time head coach, never been a head coach before, installing his new offense. We got brand new people. We got a brand new quarterback. So, yeah, I think maybe we've been a little bit optimistic because sometimes we see like a big free agent quarterback like a Matthew Stafford go and win a Super Bowl in his very first year. Tom Brady win a Super Bowl in his very first year. The thing that both of those quarterbacks didn't have, or the things that those quarterbacks did have, is the head coach was already there and had a system established.
Solid coach.
This year, brand new head coach. We don't even know if Nathaniel Hackett can be a coach, for crying out loud. Do we know if he's a good head football coach? We don't know it. It doesn't look like it. Obviously, we have to give him more than 1 year to figure that out, but we might have whiffed on that hire. And I guess at this point in the season, you can kind of we realize we're not making the playoffs. I think at this point it would take a miraculous run. So now we've scaled our expectations back to our normal Denver Broncos. Just average, sub 500 or 500 ceiling, and we'll take it and we'll go with it. Hope for next year, honestly.
Excited for any win we can get.
No, and that's the thing though. We still watch every single game.
Every game.
We still watch every single game, rooting for them to win. I don't think we've ever rooted for them to tank or lose a game. That Tennessee Titans game, it felt like they were in it. It felt like that's the type of game that the Denver Broncos can win, is low scoring, slugfest, and it just came down to the fact that we just can't score. It's embarrassing. It's terrible. So
yeah, I mean, well, because I picked the Broncos to win, and like this year I've become a lot more realistic with my expectation for the Denver Broncos. But still, in that game, I thought I knew Denver's defense. Let me read a stat for you. Denver's defense currently the lowest points against in the NFL. It's 16.6. So they have the best defense in terms of points against.
Points allowed, yeah.
Points allowed. And so I was like, okay, this Tennessee team, Tannehill's coming back from injury. They don't really have a passing game. All you got to do is limit Derrick Henry, which is obviously harder said than done. But they did a really good job. It wasn't Derrick Henry that beat them.
No.
It was two long passing touchdowns by Tannehill. And then just, their inability to score. They put 10 points up in the second quarter. And then the second half, it's just
nothing.
It's just nothing.
Well, the 10 points in the first half, the way that Denver Broncos play football, that's actually not bad. But the fact that they put a big old fat old goose egg, and you look at the first quarter there, punt.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the most boring games for non-Tennessee, non-Denver fans to watch. But it was the game script that Broncos need. But when push comes to shove, Russ just can't get it done. Or is it the play calling? Is it Russ? We're still not quite sure. But when push comes to shove and we get the ball past the 50-yard line, all of a sudden the offense just shuts down. Our one touchdown was really kind of a broken coverage.
Yeah.
Heck, Tennessee probably didn't even know who the heck that guy.
Jalen Virgil.
No, I when he caught that touchdown, I looked down at my phone. I'm like, oh, I guess he got elevated from the practice squad or something. It's like, so Tennessee probably didn't even have him on the scouting report. So no wonder there's a broken coverage there. So it's like our one touchdown's really a fluke. Almost like he was wide open, 60-something yard touchdown. He was wide open. He ran it in. Congrats, but they just can't get anything done after that. My biggest concern is that the Russ that we thought we were getting is the, throw down field, buy time. Sunday's game, he averaged 6.8 yards per completion. What? What's that all about? We're throwing little slant patterns and whatnot. And a lot of times he's not even hitting them. So I just think the play calling, Russ isn't who we thought he was, and it's the offense is just flat out bad. And I think a lot of it's play calling, but a lot of it is also Russ is given a lot of room to work, and he's not doing well with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of talk. People are like, especially on Twitter, it's crazy. People are like, is it Hackett? Is it Wilson? And honestly, it's a combination of everything. As we mentioned before, Hackett, he's never coached as head coach before. His play calling ability is not good.
Very, very suspect.
Yeah, very suspect, very basic. Russ is in shotgun on 1st and 10, looking to throw the ball. And even at the beginning of the season, before Javonte Williams went out, we had the Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, two great running backs, and we're throwing the ball on 1st down every single time from the shotgun. You're just wondering, did Hackett not watch film from last year? Did he not understand that Javonte Williams is a powerhouse? it just blew my mind. I felt like as a fan, I knew more than what was going on. And then obviously Russell Wilson is not he's not playing great this year at all.
No.
The offensive line is totally beat up. 2 guys just went down.
Yeah.
We had a third-string center in there who had never worked with Russ, and so Russ was having a rough time with the offensive line. And then, of course, Tim Patrick was out at the beginning of the year. Javonte Williams is out.
Yeah,
Shall I go on? There's so many injuries. Jerry Jeudy went out on the first play of scrimmage.
Definitely snake bitten with injuries is an understatement.
So, I mean, it's just a very difficult situation there in Denver right now. But we'll keep rooting for them. Especially this week as they play the Raiders.
Yeah, I feel like
Raiders week.
talk about being raised as Broncos fans. I was raised to dislike the Raiders just as much as I was to like the Denver Broncos. But you feel like we got to beat the Raiders this week. I mean, the Raiders just lost to TV analyst Jeff Saturday, for crying out loud.
Wow.
Like if the Broncos don't win at home against the Raiders, then someone's getting fired.
Yeah.
Like, for crying out loud. You can't lose to Josh McDaniel. Josh McDaniel was the Broncos coach there for a little bit. You can't lose to Josh McDaniel on your home turf. You already lost to them once in the season. If you lose twice to the last place in the division, Raiders, then someone's head's rolling for sure.
Yeah.
Like, you can't lose that game.
I like how the Broncos are trying to use their uniforms as a way to motivate the fans again.
Or maybe it's to distract from the actual product on the field, something to get the fans excited about, to get them jazzed up. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter they're going with their throwback orange uniforms.
The color rush this week,
which will look great. So
yeah, I love those uniforms. And they did mention they're thinking about doing a rebranding of the uniforms full time. So they're seeing what they can do there.
I'm telling you what, they're putting all their attention on all the wrong things.
Yes.
They got bigger problems than uniforms.
Yes.
The uniforms ain't gonna fix putting the ball in the end zone. I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay, so now with that in mind, as we mentioned, Broncos play Raiders this week. This is a segment that I do in every show. I do NFL picks. I posted my last picks on my Twitter, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, 13-12 right now. And we're going to do some picks today. And we're going to see if we can keep up with this 50% correct.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad for a fan who just
yeah, not bad for a fan, but, you've mentioned, I listen to the show every week, make sure everyone goes back to his previous episodes as well. But Kyle, you mentioned that this has been a weird NFL season, to say the least, and I think that's just a bigger testament to these NFL teams. The talent gap is not very far. It's the best of the best, every single out there. All 53 men are supposed to be out there, and it's back to what you've said before. It's any given Sunday. I think these teams are a lot closer than we think there are. There's no teams that are above the rest. I mean, I think everyone says that Chiefs, Bills, Eagles are the Super Bowl favorites, but after that, I don't think there's a big difference between the 3 seed down to the 10 seed.
No.
I think everyone's still kind of in playoff contention. Except for maybe 2 or 4 bottom, feeder teams. So
yeah, I mean, if you look at the playoff standings right now, there's only a couple games, and I mean we're only a little past midway in the season, so there's only a couple games that separate the teams in as the teams looking out.
I mean, technically, the Broncos are only 2 games back. I mean, do we open up that can of worms and start getting hopeful again all of a sudden? I mean, we're only 2 games back. It feels like desperation time, but you never know. I'm not hopeful because the product on the field is
speaks for itself.
No one's gonna snap their fingers and something's gonna switch, but nothing's impossible. Obviously, with us only being 2 games out of the last playoff spot.
Very true. Very true. So this first game here, Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. We got Tennessee Titans at Green Bay versus the Packers. The Packers are coming off a huge overtime win against the Cowboys. One of the most. I'd say if that Viking game didn't happen, that would be the most exciting game of the week. That Packers-Cowboys game.
That was pretty exciting.
Aaron Rodgers came alive. Christian Watson came out of the woodworks. 2 touchdowns. I added him on one of my 3 touchdowns. I added him on one of my fantasy teams just in case. He probably won't replicate that exact production.
He's a great stash, though.
But Aaron Rodgers has been looking for someone to throw to all year.
Yeah, I just need someone to trust,
And so Watson stepped up. They're playing the Titans. Titans came off that win against Denver. Nothing too impressive in my mind. Derrick Henry was limited, but I think Derrick Henry will probably run a little more wild on this Green Bay team. Who are you picking for this one?
Give me the Packers. I feel like desperation time. I feel like Aaron was clicking with his receivers. And I'm going to give the Packers the edge for the sole fact that it is in Lambeau Field.
Mm-hmm.
Expected to be a slug-it-out game, but Tennessee, their offense doesn't get me jazzed at all.
No.
Like if Derrick Henry runs, congratulations, but I don't see their offense putting up more than, again, 17 points like they did on this past Sunday. Over-under's at 41, so it's going to be a low-scoring ball game, but give me Packers in that game.
I think so as well. I think Aaron Rodgers kind of hit another gear. I talked about this a couple weeks ago when the Packers were playing against the Lions, and he was very frustrated, and I felt like something in him just like snapped and just like twitched, and that was kind of shown there in that game against the Cowboys.
Yeah, but if you're live betting this game for your sports bettors out there, if Tennessee takes an early lead, I would slam Tennessee. Aaron Rodgers has obviously Sunday was the exception. They got down and they came back against Cowboys, but Aaron Rodgers, if he gets down early, he gets really frustrated.
Yeah.
It just seems like he gives up on his team sometimes.
So Packers on that one. The next game, Falcons and Bears. I'm not impressed with the Falcons at all. Justin Fields has really come alive in the last couple weeks. I think the Bears probably win this one.
Yeah, you got two running quarterbacks that are just gonna, run for, close to 100 yards each. In that, this is a tough one. I'm gonna go with the home guys. I'm gonna go with the Falcons. They're both coming off losses. So for the sole fact that Falcons are home, I'll take the Dirty Birds.
All right, next game we got Eagles and Colts. Eagles just lost their first game, but they're playing the Colts. Colts came off a victory against the Raiders. But the Eagles are going to win this one.
Yeah,
I don't think the Colts.
I think Eagles win easily. What I mean by that is I think they win by a touchdown or so. Something to note, though, Vegas, I think, was being a little casual with the Eagles. They set that line at -11 on that Monday night game against Washington. You would say Washington's a better team than Indianapolis, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Especially with Jeff Saturday as the new head coach.
Mm-hmm.
But only a 6.5 point line. Maybe that's because they're on the road. But I still like Eagles to cover and win easily.
Yeah. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Yeah, give before you give Jeff Saturday your praises, maybe see how he does against the NFC best.
Yeah, see how he does against the Eagles compared to the broken Raiders here.
Yeah.
Next one we got Jets at Patriots. My initial reaction would be to pick the Patriots. Although the Jets have surprised me pretty much every single week this year. They've beaten the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
They are, what are they, 7-3 or are they 6-3? I think they're 6-3.
6-3, yeah.
They're 6-3, and their defense has gotten a lot better.
Yeah, obviously Robert Saleh, he's the head coach there, so defensive mind, so they've been really gravitating to his game plan, and I think once they've been really bought in. Sauce Gardner doing some good things out there at the cornerback slot. People are already ranking him top 5 corner. I think I want to have a conversation about that. But yeah, very impressed with what the Jets are doing.
And I mean, the Patriots situation is still weird. Like, Mac Jones hasn't really proven himself. They had Bailey Zappi come in, and he got hot for a little bit, but now he's not playing well. So, I don't know. I'm going to say Jets on this one. Jets win on the road. It's in New England. Almost like an upset game here, even though they have a better record. Yeah. I'd say Jets win.
Patriots favored by 3, probably, and Vegas, really what they look at is if you're a home, they're two pretty evenly matched teams, then that's usually, home field is worth about 3 points. That's why Patriots are -3 in this one. And I really like your pick. Jets to win this game because, it's a rivalry game. However, even though that New England already beat the Jets once this year, we know in divisional games it's very tough to beat the same team twice. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with New England. It's in New England. Bill Belichick seems to have his way with younger quarterbacks. I think Zach Wilson throws one too many interceptions in this game. It's not going to be a pretty game at all. So it's not going to be one you flip to on Red Zone or anything like that. It'll be a good, low-scoring, competitive game, though. I'll take Patriots.
Nice. This next one, we have Commanders at Texans. I'm a big fan of the Commanders, honestly. I like Taylor Heineke under center better than Carson Wentz. Obviously, he's on injured reserve.
Seems like in years past they really play for him.
They do. That guy has a lot of heart. I remember it was 2 seasons ago when Washington made the wild card, I believe, and they played against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I remember.
And they almost beat Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like this is incredible.
Well, and to that point, I remember NFL mic'd up Terry McLaurin, wide receiver number 1, came up to him afterwards and was like, "Hey, 4, I'll go to battle with you any day, 4." So it's like he's earned their respect. He's got the locker room. And that win against the Eagles, even though there were some questionable penalties there, that's a big time win. So I'll take Commanders in this game, coming off of that big win. Should be reasonable, but you never know. The Texans can get frisky from time to time. Mm-hmm. They did keep it close last week against the Giants, so who knows.
Next one, Rams and Saints. These are 2
teams. You taking Commanders in that game?
Yeah,
okay,
Commanders as well. Commanders as well. Rams, Saints, both teams are kind of underperforming this year. Like, obviously Matthew Stafford was out last game, but even when he's been in, they've had a lot of problems. Cooper Kupp's going to be out for at least a month, maybe this season.
Team, yeah.
I know, I've had Cooper Kupp on a couple teams, so that's a big bummer. But the Saints aren't necessarily any better. We hear that Andy Dalton is going to get the start this week. It is in New Orleans.
Do we know if Matthew Stafford's playing in this game yet?
It's
just concussion protocol, so you feel like he might be back. But
he might be back. It's still up in the air. I don't know. I'm gonna have to say Saints on this one because, Allen Robinson really hasn't established himself. Maybe that's an opportunity for him to step up as wide receiver 1 now that Kupp is down. But the Rams just really haven't been playing great, and in New Orleans they have a few offensive weapons. Kamara can go off, and Andy Dalton did throw for 4 touchdowns in one game. So I mean the potential is there. I do think just since it's at home, the Saints are probably going to win this one, but I don't know. Rams could definitely take it as well. What do you think?
I'll take Saints as well. Who's Matthew Stafford going to throw to? I think that's, like you said, maybe Allen Robinson
Ben
steps
Skoranek.
Ben Skoranek. I think Van Jefferson's a good pickup on fantasy, for if you're a little thin at wide receiver. But, yeah, Cooper Kupp has just been his one guy, and without him, I have zero to little faith in that offense. They don't run the ball. Everyone knows it's Stafford to Kupp most plays. Yeah. So now without Kupp, it's like, who knows? But I don't know. Maybe that actually forces Stafford to kind of trust and lean on McVay a little bit, and now McVay goes back to the drawing board, and maybe that actually is a good thing.
It's a better thing, yeah.
Not to say that they're a better team without Cooper Kupp. Don't get me wrong, but maybe by forcing him to open up the playbook a little bit, that'll actually get some offensive creativity. They just need change. They just need to mix something up there. But I'll still take Saints.
Next one is Browns at Bills. This game's in Buffalo. I think Josh Allen bounces back. The Bills are at home in front of Bills Mafia. Browns are an interesting team. They've been in a lot of close games, but still under center from Jacoby Brissett. I don't see him taking out Josh Allen. I think the Bills win this one.
Yeah, I do. But I'll take the Bills obviously on the money line. But I might consider taking that Browns +8. I actually do think they keep it close. The Browns just barely got blown out by Miami, and I don't see the Browns getting blown out like that again.
Twice in a row.
Yeah, I'll take the Browns to cover, but Bills to win outright.
Next game here, Carolina at Baltimore. This game's in Baltimore. I hear Baker Mayfield's getting the start at quarterback.
Oh, really?
I don't know if that will change much of the outcome of the game. I'm picking the Ravens at home.
Easily, yeah. Ravens easily. Biggest spread on the week, -13. It won't be close.
Yeah. Something to watch for, Deontay Foreman. I got him on my fantasy team. He's a baller.
Yeah.
Hopefully he gets me some points against this Baltimore defense.
Really good pickup if you can grab him somewhere.
Next game, Lions and Giants. Giants have surprised me this year. They've surprised everyone this year, I think.
It's the biggest head scratcher. Like, you really wonder, what is it? Wonder what was in the water there. And I think having Saquon back is obviously a big component. A very healthy Saquon. And then, I think Brian Daboll easily wins Coach of the Year this year. I think he's done really good. The fact that they're 7-2, they probably make the playoffs easily now. So, I'll take Giants to win because I think the Lions get in their own way quite a bit. But could be close.
Yeah. I'm actually going to say Lions.
Ooh.
Lions with the upset on the road.
That's his upset of the week.
That's my upset of the week. I've just seen glimpses of what the Lions can do, and that comeback against the Bears last week. They had no business winning that game. The Bears kind of blew it on their end, but I think the Lions keep rolling and get to 4-7 and keep that NFC. What is that? The NFC North. Interesting.
Not a bad pick. Lions, I think, can score more points than the Giants. So if it gets in a shootout, that might be a good pick you have there. So.
This next one is the first afternoon game. It is the Raiders at Broncos. Broncos are at home. Neither team is playing great. Broncos 3-6, Raiders 2-7. The Raiders won the game earlier in the year. I feel silly picking the Broncos week by week, but I think this is a game the Broncos should win. But as I mentioned last week, they're only going to win this game if they score points, and they haven't been able to score points for a long time. And so I think this is a game that really determines the future. Like you mentioned earlier, if they don't win this game, somebody's getting fired, somebody's losing their job, somebody's in a bad position.
It would be inexcusable for the Broncos to lose. And I know that sounds like the sky is falling, but they should win this ball game. I'll take the Broncos. You do have to remember, though, season high in points scored, even though it's only 23. Everyone laughing at home. The Broncos scored their season high against the Raiders. Russell Wilson had his best game against the Raiders earlier on this year, so give me the Broncos. They got to win on Sunday.
Again, at home in Denver, color rush jerseys. Fingers crossed there. All right, this next game I think is probably potential to be game of the week, maybe tied for game of the week. We got Cowboys of Dallas going to Minnesota to play the Vikings. These two teams are in the top of the NFC right now. Vikings obviously coming off a huge win in Buffalo. Crazy overtime game. Cowboys loss in overtime to the Packers. Who do you think on this one?
I know initially you look at this game, you think Vikings should be favored to win, but Cowboys are actually favored. They're a road favorite. And, again, drawn from my betting knowledge, Cowboys didn't cover the spread this past week. Obviously, they lost. Vikings did cover the spread. They won. Teams that didn't cover the spread the previous week against teams that did the previous week have a really good winning record. So I'll actually take the Cowboys. It feels like a little bit of an upset pick, but I'll take the Cowboys in this game. I feel like Vikings have been on borrowed time almost. They've been super lucky, it seems like, a couple of games. So give me the Cowboys.
I definitely see where you're coming from. I still just have questions about Dak Prescott. And obviously Tony Pollard stepped up a lot. But I'm just not sure about Dak Prescott.
That's fair.
CeeDee Lamb stepped up, kind of in the replace of Amari Cooper. But I'm gonna say Vikings. I think Kirk Cousins hits Justin Jefferson for a couple touchdowns. He has another 25+ fantasy week and burns me.
How good is he though? He is incredible. He is truly, I think, the greatest wide receiver to. Well, I mean, obviously you got Randy Moss, but you put him up there with Randy Moss.
He's incredible.
He's truly the fact that this is year 3. The things that he's been doing in his first 3 years are just remarkable.
Yeah, he's really good. Although I will say Dallas's defense is really good. So if Vikings win, it's going to be close.
Yeah,
it's going to be it's going to be
But
tough.
If there ever is a spot to burn them, it's
in the secondary.
Yeah, in the secondary. Yep.
Okay, so I'll take Vikings that one. Next one we have a AFC North matchup. We got the Cincinnati Bengals going to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. I was surprised the Steelers won the game against the Saints. I haven't been impressed with the Steelers, but they kind of surprised me there, got the win. But Bengals coming to town. Bengals, they still don't have Jamar Chase. Joe Mixon's playing. Joe Burrow, he can still throw to the likes of T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Hayden Hurst and things like that. I think the Cincinnati Bengals win this game on the road.
Yeah.
Tough game.
I agree with you as well. If you remember the very first week, somehow the Steelers won that weird overtime game in Cincinnati. It was probably the weirdest game of the year.
Well, yeah, Jamar Chase caught that touchdown, and then they missed the PAT.
There was some missed field goals
that
everywhere.
Put them up.
It was a very questionable game, so I feel like it writes itself and Bengals win on the road in Pittsburgh.
Okay, and this other game that I mentioned, maybe tied for game of the week, it's the Chiefs at Chargers. Patrick Mahomes travels to SoFi Stadium to play Justin Herbert and the Chargers.
Yeah.
Chargers came off a loss against the 49ers. Tough loss there. Chiefs are rolling. The game early, I think it was week 2 that they played. Chargers had that game.
Yeah, they really did.
And then Herbert threw like a 97-yard pick six that kind of shifted it in the favor of the Chiefs. Chiefs ended up winning that one. I think Chiefs win this one again. I know you've mentioned it's difficult to beat a team twice, but the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes just always finds an answer, and Justin Herbert still doesn't have Mike Williams. He doesn't have Keenan Allen. So who's he going to throw to? He's been thrown to DeAndre Carter and Joshua Palmer. Austin Eckler could go off. I just see the Chiefs pulling off a fourth quarter comeback and winning this game.
Sure, yeah. And a little side note, you have to remember the Bengals-Steelers game was actually the original Sunday night primetime game. It got flexed out for this game. This is probably one of the most underrated rivalries in football right now. Really two high-caliber offenses. And yeah, you don't really know. No one really knows when Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are coming back. Are they? They're on the doubtful list. They're on the probable list, but they're not playing. Gerald Everett also going to be out as well, so something to keep an eye on, the tight end there for the Chargers. Give me Chiefs. I don't like the Chargers. It just seems like they're so discombobulated. It doesn't seem like they really have a team identity, honestly. So, and the Chiefs know who they are. So give me the Chiefs.
And then our last pick here, the Monday Night Football game, 49ers against the Cardinals in Arizona.
Actually in Mexico.
Oh, this is the Mexico game.
This is the Mexico game, yeah.
Good old Mexico City. So Kyler Murray missed this last week with a hamstring injury.
Maybe that was better for them, honestly.
And they ended up winning.
Yeah, McCoy.
They kind of lucked out there with Colt McCoy. I think Kyler Murray is expected to come back. If he doesn't come back, Colt McCoy is going to run the show. I think the 49ers win this game.
Oh, yeah, I don't care who's playing quarterback, for the Cardinals. 49ers, ever since they got Christian McCaffrey, that offensive creativity, it's really fun to watch. It's must-see football now that they have Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. So, 49ers, really good dark horse pick to win the NFC if you want to get some good value on them. They could potentially make a good run. So.
Yeah, great offense, great defense. Like you said, McCaffrey's come in and really added a spark to the team. I was a little skeptical of the 49ers coming into the season. Everyone was saying that they were going to be super good. But now that they've got McCaffrey, I kind of believe that now for sure. So I pick 49ers as well to win that one.
Yeah, as long as Jimmy G doesn't throw away the game, he's fine. If he just is a game manager, they're actually a really good team. So.
All right, there you have it. There's week picks for week 11 in the NFL. As I mentioned, I post all the results on Twitter, 13 and 12. So we'll see how we do this week. You can check out all my socials in the description below. But thanks for coming on, Ryan. Thanks for providing your awesome feedback. Bro. We're excited to watch Team USA play in the World Cup again for the 5th and final time. They're playing Wales on Monday. On Fox at 12, must-win game, or at least a must-tie game, a must-do-well game for USA.
Must get a result.
Must get a result.
Yep.
And we'll be rooting for them, so go USA. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys next week.